It's 2026 and AI isn't going anywhere. So let's focus on how to get an interview for an AI engineering role. I'm going to cover 5 different interview questions covering different topics like temperature, system and user prompt, prompt injection and security, RAG, and hallucination. So whether you're a new grad engineer or you're coming from a software engineering role with a few years of experience, keep watching to find out exactly what you need to know to pass these interviews. So the first one is, what is temperature within an AI system? Temperature is a range from 0 to 1, and it's basically like a creativity scale. So anything closer to the 0 side is low creativity, very straightforward answers. 1 is highly creative, like if you were trying to brainstorm with an AI model and you're trying to come up with all these crazy ideas, that would be something that requires a 1 for the temperature field for an AI model. 0 is used for very predictable and safe answers. So this is more so for fields like finance and math, where you need a very concrete answer that doesn't involve a lot of like fluff, let's say. So 2 other key related fields to temperature is top K and top P. Top K is kind of like the number of tokens used to create the answer. So lower tokens means less varied answer, more straightforward, very rigorous. A higher top K involves using more tokens, so around 50 to 100 is like usually the number that's used for this field, and it has a lot of more variation and it's more creative because you use more tokens to generate the answer. So this is more for chats and storytelling. So top P is kind of like probability percentage. So low top P would be like 0.4, and then a high top P would be 0.9. And so the 0.4 is 40% confidence in the response that the AI can use. So it uses less fields of reference, and so it gives you a more straightforward answer that's less varied versus a higher top P, which is like 90%, let's say. This would give you a lot more variance because it's pulling from a greater field of data to come up with the answer for you. So it would have more variance with the answer it gives back for the same query versus a lower top P. So the second question is very easy, but it can still be messed up by a lot of engineers as they don't give enough information back to the interviewer. So we're talking about the difference between system prompt and user prompt and how to use both of them. So the system prompt is basically giving the AI its identity. So this typically means like, if you're coming up with an AI that is like a chef, then you are saying you are a professional chef with 3 to 5 years of experience working in this specific niche. Maybe it could be Italian cuisine, focused more on vegan options. So in the system prompt, you should also be mentioning behavioral and tone and personality of your AI. So these 3 things should also be included along with just the identity. So behaviors can be things that you want the AI chef to be able to do. So how they maneuver, they only work from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., only morning shift. Things like tone could be that the chef is very friendly and open with all different types of people. Personality can be things like you are a very type A chef who is very meticulous with all of the steps that are required in order to build a dish. So usually engineers are avoiding getting into the depths with this prompt, and so this can be a real hindrance within your interview process. And of course, the user prompt. The user prompt would end up being the user asking the AI model to come up with a recipe for breakfast for a specific restaurant catered to maybe like Valentine's Day. So within the user prompt, you can also specify the type of input and output that you want to receive. So if you want the user to enter certain types of information, you can ask for that. And then also the output of your format for the AI, you can specify within the user prompt as well. Like, please spit out a table with a specific list of steps needed to build out this specific dish, and reference points that you want with the ingredient names and where you can find them being sold in stores. So the next question is, what is prompt injection and how do we defend against it? So there are a lot of different steps that you can take to answer this question, but there are a few main points that you should definitely iterate within your interview process. So first is like input validation. So when the user is entering their prompt, you should have validation to check the question that they're answering doesn't involve more questions, especially keywords like override system prompt, things like that. Another one is having strict system prompt design. So within your system prompt, not just user prompt, but system prompt, you can have it explicitly say, do not allow for prompt overriding and for any backend processes to be involved within this AI chat. Another one is output filtering. So after whatever the user inputs and whatever your AI generates, that output should have filters on it. You can have basic filters like have it search for keywords that are missing. So within like a chef AI tool, why is there no mention of chef, no mention of food, none of that? That could be one of the validations. Another validation is checking for malicious words within the prompt. So things like overriding, hacking, trying to break in, things like that. And then another one is limiting the privilege of your system to have access to internal tools. This is very key. You should be able to gate the AI from having access to tools like reading database passwords, any other important AI permissions that it might need to have. It should not be available to all prompts and that are entered from the user. So as an interviewee, you should be trying to answer all of these different key points when they ask you the one question. And then you can dive into details within a specific field if they want to follow up more on that. So the next question is, what is RAG and when would you use it? So RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And it's basically an addition to your AI model that you're using. So you have ChatGPT here, but you are a business focused within like finance. So you have a lot of financial documents that you want to be attached to the AI model. So you can enter a specific query for your business, like find me the Q2 reports for the company and let me know what the trends are for the overall financial status. So in order to do this, you need to have a RAG system in place that takes in all of this documents and then processes it. This is usually done within like a vector format. So let's think about it as a grid. So it takes all these documents, let's say, and then you have the word Q2. So Q2 would be over here, and anything related to Q2 financials, Q2 outputs, outcomes within the business, steps that were taken during Q2 of 2025 would be over here. And then anything that's related to Q1 or in this like vector graph would be around here. And so then the RAG system takes in like a regular query that you give it, like we had mentioned before, please find me anything related to Q2. It takes all the information that's clustered around this point within the graph, and it's connected with like vectors, right? So any 2 points that are closer means it's more related. So it takes all of this information here and then outputs it using the AI model, connects it back through the user, and then gives you the output that you need. Mostly all companies that are hiring for AI engineer will have them implement a RAG model because they want to use the proprietary data to have a better solution for all of their different problems. Because AI models are trained on overall knowledge of the internet, right? So it has access to all this public data. But the key, benefit of using AI models within your own company is so you can have proprietary data that you can also implement and generate AI responses based off of that to help you further your business. So the next question is, what is hallucination and how do you reduce it? We've seen over the past 2 to 3 years that AI hallucination have been getting less and less. The model has been improving more and more and has been giving us more clearer and more accurate answers. So a few years ago, when you would enter something into the AI model, it would pop out something and you would be like, what does that even mean? This is incorrect. It's completely wrong. Even the AI agent, when you would go back and ask it to redo it, it would just pop out something else that's also clearly wrong. So this is called a hallucination, where the response you're getting is not correct. So a few things you can do to reduce this is to use RAG. So you can use the RAG model to provide more specific and accurate data into the AI model so it understands the question better that you're asking, and it can provide you a more niche, direct answer back. Another thing is to lower the temperature. So we had mentioned this before, but lowering the temperature reduces the creativity of the answer that's being output back to the user. So it provides more concrete answers that are repeatable. So this means that it would be more accurate because it's going through that thought process to come up with the exact answer that you want. Another thing is prompt engineering. So previously mentioned, you should allow your system prompt and user prompt to be more efficient and straightforward. You need to provide a lot of context. Your system prompt should not be just one sentence. It should be at least a paragraph of all of the different tools that we had mentioned before to provide a more niche and specific answer back. Another thing is to keep a human in the loop. So there are a lot of humans that are training AI to repeat back how you want the answer to be. Also, finally, you can have an output evaluation pipeline. So once you do get an output, we can have a lot of feedback that goes back into the AI about how you should respond back to this in the future and provide more prompting that way. Like I had mentioned before, you should be having checks for your outputs that the AI generates and then processing it that way, maybe catching that the AI answer is completely incorrect. Like if it's asking for a recipe and it's outputting like what the weather is, you should have basic checks in place for this before it goes back to the user. So this field in AI is moving very quickly. A lot of the hallucination rates are down, and it's only going to decrease and allow for AI to be even more useful in all the different business cases. So we're done. We finished all of the main questions that you need to know. And as you saw, each question that we were dealing with evolved off of the previous question. So understanding how the whole AI process works is very important and will help you a lot within the interview process. And will also help you become a better AI engineer. Thank you, and let me know if you want any more tips and advice within this space, or if you have any other questions or other projects that you want me to answer.